So we need to talk about emergency price relief, because that's exactly what President Trump has been calling for. Even on day one of him stepping into office, he called for emergency price relief, and he put out pretty much a press release for the American people. Now, here's the issue. The American people, and even the Trump administration, has said that the American people mandated that there was a change because the Biden administration was only seeing prices go up. And that was true. But what's happening now? Are we seeing prices go up, or are prices coming down? Well, temporarily, prices are still going up. This is why it's concerning, because what is going on? Well, the Trump administration, they put out many different statements. Even the White House press secretary has put out multiple statements saying what Trump's plan is. And I know I've been getting a lot of questions. What is Trump deciding to do? Is he really trying to provide price relief for the American people? Because if he is, most people aren't seeing it. Think about where prices are increasing the most at this time. They're increasing for food. Utility prices are still going up. The cost to buy a home still going up. Now, I want to read you some of the thing that Trump put out on day one of him being in office. Okay, this is important. We need to understand what's happening at this time. So on day one, this is what he put out. This is from the White House. It says, over the past 4 years, the Biden administration's destructive policies inflicted an historic inflation crisis on the American people. It goes on to say the Biden administration not only exploded government spending, artificially and unsustainably stimulating demand, but it simultaneously made necessary goods and services scarce through a crushing regulatory burden and radical policies designed to weaken American production. So what has Trump done over the past pretty much 3 weeks in order to increase American production? He's implemented tariffs on pretty much every single country outside the United States. It goes on to say hardworking families today are overwhelmed by the cost of fuel, food, housing, automobiles, medical care, utilities, and insurance. And that's all true. The Trump administration, with the Department of Government Efficiency run by Elon Musk, is looking at ways to bring down government waste, bring down unnecessary spending. Now, they're going to do that by making cuts, by reducing the size of the government. We saw with USAID, it went from about 10,000 staffers to under 300. That was a massive downsize. And that's what Trump is going to do with other agencies as well. We're going to see a massive change to the Department of Education. We're going to see a massive change to the IRS. According to reports earlier this week, Elon Musk and his team have been given access to the IRS, which means we could see some major changes there. Keep in mind, Democrats passed a bill with the help of some Republicans as well, and they passed additional $80 billion to go to the IRS. A lot of that money has been clawed back, but they also demanded that they were going to increase the IRS agents by about 88,000. According to Trump, he's pretty much going to fire every single one of them or send them down to the U.S.-Mexico border. In the White House press release back on January 20th, Trump also says, in particular, the assault on plentiful and reliable American energy through unnecessary and illegal regulatory demands has driven up the cost of transportation and manufacturing. It says, in addition, the unlawful regulatory mandate on companies to effectively eliminate many of or most gas-powered vehicles has resulted in artificial price increases on those particular vehicles to subsidize electric vehicles disfavored by consumers. One of the things you need to keep in mind with this is that in this statement, he uses the term regulatory quite a bit. Now, here's the reason why that's important. The Trump administration has signed so many executive orders, changing the way we regulate things, changing the way policies are being set. There's so many. I can't even go over all of them. So, in the end of this this press release that President Trump put out, here's what he said. He goes, "I hereby order the heads of the heads of the executive departments and agencies to deliver emergency price relief consistent with applicable law to the American people and increase the prosperity of the American worker. This shall include pursuing appropriate actions to lower the cost of housing and expand housing supply, eliminate unnecessary administrative expenses and rent-seeking practices that increase healthcare costs, eliminate counterproductive requirements that raise the cost of home appliances, create employment opportunities for American workers, including draw and discourage workers into the labor force, and eliminate harmful, coercive climate policies that increase the cost of food and fuel. Within 30 days of the date of this memorandum, the assistant to the president of economic policy shall report to me and every 30 days thereafter on the status of the implementation of this memorandum." So, what he just said is he is seeking emergency price relief, consistent with applicable law. He wants to increase the prosperity of the American people. He wants to eliminate unnecessary administrative expenses and rent-seeking practices. He's doing that. The thing that he's not doing, emergency price relief for the American people. Here's the issue, and I've said this before, and I stand by it because this is exactly what's happening. This is how it's going to play out. We are going to see tariffs on many other countries. Those other countries will likely respond. When they do respond with a retaliatory tariff, President Trump will likely increase our tariffs. And eventually what's going to happen when you are going to battle with the largest economy in the world, okay, the greatest economy in the world, and you are going to pretty much stop the United States from buying products in your country, what's going to happen is those countries are eventually going to back out. They're going to reset their tariffs back to where they were, and essentially that trade war, that tariff war that Trump is imposing on all these countries is going to work. When this does, and again, this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take months, many months. When this works, then President Trump is going to have the ability to take some of those savings, roll those into his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. He's going to pay for additional deportations. Those people that were receiving benefits really illegally, well, there's the issue. All that money goes back into the coffers. We're not spending that money anymore. Meaning things like Social Security, food stamps, housing, it becomes a little more reliable. Especially with housing, for instance. We have a housing shortage. We have a building crisis, a regulation crisis as well. Many cities around the U.S. are now opting to create those ADUs. So now they can build additional housing on their properties, a little bit closer than what regulations probably dictated. But that's happening. All these things are happening. Trump is also looking to eliminate taxes on overtime income, eliminate taxes on tips, tipped workers, people in the service industry. Those are some of the lower paid workers in the United States. He is looking to do something there. He's not going to do anything for a $15 federal minimum wage. He's not going to touch the minimum wage. Okay, that's probably not going to happen. But by eliminating taxes on overtime, on tips, on Social Security, that's going to be a huge, it's going to be a game changer for millions of Americans, especially lower income households. Okay, so that's what's happening at this time. President Trump and his team, they are striving for emergency price relief. However, it's likely not coming in the next month or two. And one of the main reasons why is because the emergency price relief More of that was going to be around immediate tax cuts. Those are for overtime, tips, and Social Security. And the other one was, which was going to be a big one, was he wanted to pretty much push the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. The Federal Reserve will not be lowering interest rates, especially when our inflation rate just went up. If anything, they're going to hold. And if, worse comes to worse, they're going to increase rates, which would actually put more pressure on the American people. So that's kind of what's happening at this time. Again, as we get more information as to what is going on and how this is going to impact you, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.